Hello, I'm Deb Knight. Welcome to A Current Affair. $222,000 in just 13 minutes. That's how much Tim lost to an international scammer. His bank claims there is nothing it could do. Tim says more must be done.
$222,000 stolen in exactly 13 minutes while a man stood in a supermarket doing his weekly shopping. And the worst part is the message that started it all appeared in the exact same text thread as hundreds of legitimate messages from his actual bank.
Embarrassed and reticent, apart from with close family and friends, to mention it.
Tim Watkins, an Australian marketing business owner, watched helplessly as his entire financial life was drained through 10 rapid transactions. And by the time he realized what was happening, every dollar had vanished into the hands of transnational criminals. If you want to protect yourself and your family from scams exactly like this one, subscribe to this channel right now, because we break down these cases every week to keep you safe.
So the text basically said, here is the passcode that you will require for the online payment that you have made for $850 on Amazon. If it wasn't you, or you didn't request this, please call this number.
Tim described the moment with raw honesty, saying he felt a pit in his stomach and later admitted he was very embarrassed and reticent to talk about what happened apart from with close family and friends. This case perfectly illustrates a disturbing truth we see repeatedly, which is that modern scammers have evolved far beyond obvious tricks and now use sophisticated technology to impersonate the very institutions we trust most with our money, exploiting that trust against victims who are often intelligent and careful people. The attack occurred on a day when Tim had just been paid by his clients, meaning his accounts held significant funds. And while standing in a supermarket, his phone buzzed with what appeared to be an urgent security message from NAB, the National Australia Bank.
As you will see if I scroll back, this is on a thread of hundreds of other texts which are legitimate from NAB.
The text claimed to alert him about an unauthorized Amazon payment of $850 and instructed him to call a specific number immediately to secure his account. Here is where the sophistication becomes truly frightening, because this was not a random text from an unknown number. Tim explained that when he looked at the message, he could scroll back through the same conversation thread and see hundreds of completely legitimate texts from NAB dating back months, which meant the scammers had somehow made their fraudulent message appear alongside his real bank communications.
The person on the end of the phone sounded very professional, in exactly the same way as NAB would do so.
This technique is called spoofing, and it works by using technology that allows criminals to fake their sender ID, so the recipient's phone displays whatever number the scammer chooses. In this case, NAB's official contact information. When Tim called the number provided, believing he was speaking with his bank's security team, he was instead connected to a professional criminal operation designed to sound exactly like a legitimate call center. Tim described the person as sounding very professional in exactly the same way as NAB would, using the same language and reassuring tone any customer would expect.
10 payments going to 2 different banks and completely new payees for $222,000 in 13 minutes. How can they let that happen?
The scammer then convinced Tim to share one-time passcodes generated by his official NAB app, codes specifically designed to authorize transactions and prove the account holder is personally approving each action. Under the guise of helping Tim stop fraudulent activity, The scammer was actually using each passcode to authorize massive transfers to external accounts controlled by the criminal network. In just 13 minutes, 10 separate transactions were executed, sending funds to 2 different banks that were completely new payees with no connection to Tim's accounts, and just over $222,000 vanished completely. Tim immediately contacted NAB through verified channels, hoping the bank could reverse the transactions or recover his money. The response was devastating, as NAB informed Tim that because he had personally provided the passcodes to the scammer, technically authorizing the transactions himself even though he was deceived, the bank was not liable for the funds. Tim expressed his frustration, asking how the bank could allow 10 payments totaling $222,000 to go through in 13 minutes to completely new payees with no prior history. Chris Sheehan from NAB's investigations team stated that they stop hundreds of scams every year, but acknowledged the environment is so hostile that some will still get through. Importantly, Sheehan emphasized that customers are not to blame, and the bank is not to blame, and that the only people truly responsible are the transnational organized crime groups. NAB eventually offered Tim $10,000 as full resolution, but reportedly with a condition that if he escalated to AFCA, the financial ombudsman, the offer would be withdrawn. Tim pursued his complaint anyway and pointed to the United Kingdom's contingent reimbursement model, where banks have significant liability to refund scam victims. Tim managed to recover $29,000, but most of his stolen funds remain gone forever. The scale of this problem is staggering, as Scam Watch revealed almost 15,000 Australians fell victim to bank impersonation scams in 1 year alone, with losses exceeding $20 million. ASIC data suggests only 4% of scam victims receive any compensation, and roughly 13% of scams are disrupted before money leaves accounts. In response, the Australian government announced plans for an SMS sender ID registry where companies register their unique IDs and messages from scammers mimicking those IDs get blocked. Similar reforms have worked in Singapore and the United Kingdom, offering hope for future protection. Now, for the red flags everyone must understand. First, any unexpected message about an unrecognized transaction asking you to call a number should be treated with extreme suspicion, because legitimate banks ask you to use their official app instead. Second, never share one-time passcodes with anyone over the phone because real bank employees will never ask for them. Third, never use contact information provided in a suspicious message and instead look up your bank's official number independently. Fourth, remember that spoofing means caller ID cannot be trusted anymore, even if it shows your bank's official number. Fifth, scammers create urgency to prevent clear thinking. So any message demanding immediate action should make you slow down and verify first. Sixth, Tim is a marketing professional who was not easily fooled, proving sophisticated scams can catch anyone regardless of intelligence. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because sharing these stories builds a community that protects each other. Tim offered his own warning, asking how anyone is supposed to know what is true anymore, and concluding that people must now assume everything is bogus until proven otherwise. The lesson here is not that Tim was careless, because he was targeted by professionals using technology designed to exploit reasonable trust in financial institutions. Until reforms are fully implemented and banks take greater responsibility, the burden of protection falls on each of us. If you receive a suspicious banking message, stop, hang up, and call your bank using a number you find independently, because those extra seconds could save everything you have. Stay safe out there, and we will see you in the next one.